So I just had an amazing talk with a longtime friend of mine. We went to high school together and, moved to different cities. We don't live close by, but, we keep in touch a little bit and get together every year if we can. But so we started talking about veganism, animal activism, conservatism, liberalism, and I was describing all the atrocities I've encountered, dealing with left wingers in animal activism and how they've discriminated against me and other people I see. And even though I'm not a right winger, I'm definitely not a left winger. I'm just a guy that wants to help animals. And so we talked a lot about it. And he, is a. I asked him, "Hey, dude, are you a right winger? Would you consider yourself a right winger?" And he says, "No, I'm just a guy." But then I said, "Well, okay, what do you think about abortion?" Well, no, abortion should be illegal. What do you think about, do you believe in Jesus? Yes, I believe in Jesus. And I went through the checklist, right? And okay, I know you're going to say I'm a right winger, but, he's an open-minded guy that, believes in a lot of these things, but you can also use logic with him. Somebody that, just a genuine human. So anyways, I asked him, so would you be more open to hearing the vegan message from somebody that's, incorporating all these other things into it, such as, the pro-choice movement and all this, the radical feminism, if that is part of their vegan message, would you be open to hearing that message? And he was like, no, probably not. It just sounds very hateful, and I wouldn't really get a lot out of that. And then I said, well, would you get, talking to somebody like me that's going to just accept your differences and focus on the message of animal cruelty and animal agriculture? How would you feel about hearing my message? And he says, well, yeah, I really appreciate that you would respect my beliefs enough to speak to me as a man to man, rather than looking down on me because I might believe in Jesus, whereas obviously I don't per se. So my message today is just, well, if you want to incorporate your other beliefs into your animal activism, that's awesome. But you need to not discriminate against those of us animal activists who are focused on the cause in which we are all fighting for, which is animal liberation. If if people decide that they want their message to be about animal liberation and not about a bunch of other politics, that is way more effective in a bigger picture, in a bigger world, rather than preaching to the converted. When you speak to people from an extreme left wing liberal SJW agenda, you're cherry picking your audience, which is fine. Those people need to hear the message too, and I support that. But when you are discriminating and holding back other activists because they don't share the same belief system or the same ideologies of activism as you do, you're actually a huge problem and an obstacle in animal liberation. And I often think that if a factory farmed animal could speak, he or she would beg intersectional vegans to just stop. Just stop what you're doing and eat a veggie burger and remain silent, because you cause more harm to the animal liberation movement than you could ever bring to the table as far as help. So my message today is inclusion up to the point of where your inclusion becomes exclusion through default. And I feel really, I feel buoyed, I feel happy, I feel validated just by talking to my old friend and hearing what I already knew. But it's the first time I've actually talked to somebody who has right wing values and asked them, what their thoughts are on the topic. And it was a resounding, like, yes, thank you, I would love to hear about it when we have more time. We're just on the phone, I'm on my way to work. But that's a conversation that I will have with him that would not happen if I was trying to tell him he had to be a blue haired, SJW screaming about Trump. you know that may work for some, but it doesn't work for all. And this is not a one size fit all movement. This is a movement that will succeed by embracing everybody's differences and everybody's quirks. And as I've said in the past, if you could somehow have an animal liberation group where everybody stood together, whether they were Donald Trump supporters or Antifa supporters, and they just put all those feelings aside and talked about the animals, fought for the animals, defended each other against the slaughterhouse workers or whatever comes up, and all go and everybody goes and has a veggie burger afterwards and talks about stuff. You might actually discover what I already know, is that although you two have extreme opposite beliefs, you're actually both being you're both being played by a larger system, played against each other. So you're distracted from what the real problem is. What is the real problem? I don't have an answer to that. I know it's probably something to do with big government or, all this other stuff that, I'm not going to go into a conspiracy theory zone because that's not really what I do. I'm open-minded to stuff. But the bottom line is citizens should not be fighting with citizens over government enforced ideologies. I mean, now you guys are fighting over vaccines and COVID-19, making that a partisan issue. Like now, if you think that it's overblown, oh, now you're a Trump supporting hate monger. And if you think that it's, a very serious thing and we have to, mask up and glove and stay isolated, then you're a left-wing nut job. It's all bullshit. The answer is probably somewhere in the middle, and we're all being played. And I'm grateful that at least I have enough common sense to see through it. And if somebody hears this message and decides that, maybe I've got a point, then that's great. And I didn't waste 7 minutes of my life recording this. Okay, thank you. And have a great day. And go vegan. Peace, love.